Let me speak plainly to you today, because I believe you're ready. You don't just wish for success, you ache for it, you feel it in your bones. And that, my friend, is a sacred thing, because that ache, when understood and directed, is the blueprint to your breakthrough. Every successful person you've ever admired, they started right where you are. They weren't born different, they just learned to think different, not louder, not faster, just different. There is a still voice within every millionaire, a quiet confidence, a discipline of thought that shapes their reality long before they ever touch a dollar. You want to change your life? You must first change the texture of your thoughts. Let me explain. You see, we live in a noisy world, a world that screams about limitations, obstacles, and instant gratification. But wealth, real wealth, is born in silence. It's born in the moments where most people give up, but you keep going, where others complain, but you create, where the world says wait, but your spirit whispers, move. I remember years ago discovering the truth that changed everything. We become what we think about. It sounded simple, maybe even too simple, but the greatest truths usually are. The people who rise in this world, they're not always the smartest, not always the most talented, but they've mastered one thing. They direct their mind like a captain steers a ship, calm, focused, determined. They guard what they let into their mind. They choose their thoughts like an artist chooses their colors, and over time, they create a masterpiece. Now let me ask you something. What's the first thing you think about when you wake up? What's the thought that runs through your mind before you fall asleep? If it's worry, if it's fear, if it's lack, that's what your mind will continue to create. But if it's vision, if it's growth, if it's gratitude, then you are already walking the path of wealth. You don't need to know how it's all going to come together. You just need to keep showing up. Keep showing up for your mind. Keep showing up for your dream. Success is not an event. It's a rhythm. A quiet rhythm that builds momentum with every small, consistent step. Let me tell you something very personal. When I was broke, lost, unsure, I used to imagine. I'd sit in silence and picture the man I wanted to become. I'd rehearse it in my mind so often, it became more familiar to me than my current situation. And one day, it was no longer a fantasy. It was my reality. That's not magic. That's mindset. And you have the same power. But most people won't use it. They'll keep reacting to life instead of creating it. They'll keep waiting for a sign, a guarantee, a perfect moment. Let me be your sign today. The still voice in your mind, the one that says, you were made for more, that voice is not lying to you. That voice is your truth. And every time you listen to it, you grow stronger. You may not see the results today or tomorrow, but make no mistake. What you water will grow. You want to become a millionaire? Start thinking like one. You want to be free? Then you must master your mind. This isn't just motivation. This is strategy. Read something every day that builds your mindset. Write down your goals until they're burned into your heart. Speak as if you're already becoming who you were destined to be. Cut off distractions. Not later. Today. And above all, believe with your whole being that it's possible for you. Because here's the truth no one told you. Success is not rare. Discipline is. Wealth is not luck. It's obedience to a higher standard of thought. So from this moment forward, I want you to remember this. Your mind is the soil. Your thoughts are the seeds. And your future, it's the harvest. No one else can think for you. No one else can dream for you. No one else can walk this path but you. But I promise you, if you keep going one quiet, focused thought at a time, one day people will ask you how you did it. And you'll smile, because you'll know the truth. It all started with that still, powerful voice you chose to listen to, when no one else could hear it but you. Let that voice guide you. Let that vision pull you. And never again doubt the quiet power inside your mind. Your future is listening. Make it worth the wait. Let me say something to you that may shake you at your core. You're not far. I know it feels like it. I know the bank account says otherwise. I know the people around you don't understand you, but you are not far from the life you desire. You're closer than you think. You see, most people never become successful, not because they didn't want it, but because they didn't realize how close they were when they gave up. There's a strange thing that happens to a person right before the breakthrough. They feel pressure, doubt, fatigue, even fear. The temptation to quit becomes louder than the dream itself. And if you're not anchored to something deeper than your current results, you'll walk away from the very thing you were born to receive. But not you. Not this time. You've come too far in your thinking to turn around now. You've sacrificed too much to go back to average. You've endured too many lonely nights to settle for a life that doesn't reflect your vision. I want you to understand something very clearly. Success isn't just for them. It's not for the lucky or the chosen or the privileged few. It's for anyone who decides that average is no longer acceptable and proves it every day by the way they think. Every day you wake up and choose discipline over distraction, you move closer. Every time you invest in your mind instead of wasting time, you move closer. Every time you say no to what doesn't serve you, you move closer. Success is not an event. It is the reward for consistent alignment between your thoughts, your habits, and your vision. I want to talk to the person who feels like it's taking too long. Let me ask you this. Compared to what? Compared to someone else's timeline? Compared to some artificial deadline you made up out of frustration? You are not late. You are not behind. You are becoming. And that is the most powerful thing a person can do. When you feel unseen, when you feel overlooked, remember this. The roots grow deep before the tree ever breaks through the ground. And right now, you're growing roots. You're building the mindset, the faith, the resilience required to not just get success, but keep it. And that is what separates dreamers from doers. That is what separates the broke from the wealthy. That is what separates the forgotten from the legendary. I've seen it over and over again. A person rises when they decide to outlast their old self. Because the only thing standing between who you are now and who you want to be is how long you're willing to keep going in the dark. The great ones, the ones who became millionaires, thought leaders, creators, kings, and queens in their fields, they didn't have perfect circumstances. They had perfect commitment. Now I want you to really hear me when I say this. You don't need more time. You need more belief. If you believed you were guaranteed to win, how would you move today? How would you think? What would you stop tolerating? That's how you need to start living, as if the outcome is certain. Because if you keep feeding your mind the right thoughts, if you keep moving in alignment with your purpose, it is certain. And this is the real secret. The world doesn't respond to your potential. It responds to your preparation. So prepare, even if no one's watching, even if the numbers are low, even if the progress feels slow, because preparation is progress. And if you stay consistent long enough, the world will catch up to your vision. But don't expect applause for planting seeds. The world only celebrates the harvest. So don't look for validation. Look for confirmation in your discipline, your growth, your focus. That's how you'll know you're becoming the version of yourself who can handle what you asked for. Because we don't get what we want, we get what we're ready for. And I want you to be ready. Ready for the opportunities, ready for the success, ready for the life that whispers to you when you lay your head on the pillow at night. The version of you that gets everything you dreamed about isn't out there. It's inside you, buried beneath layers of fear, doubt, and distraction. Your job isn't to find success. It's to release it. Strip away the excuses. Strip away the small thinking. Strip away the belief that you need permission. You were born with everything you need. So remember this the next time you feel like quitting. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. You're not falling behind. You're being set apart. You're not dreaming too big. You're just finally seeing what's possible. And most of all, you are not far. You are closer than you think. Keep going. Your future is waiting. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. You don't just grow because you want to. You grow because you outgrow your old surroundings, and most people never do. You want to know why? Because they're loyal to the wrong people. They're committed to the familiar. They stay connected to those who think small, speak small, dream small, and that loyalty, it costs them their future. Let me be very clear. Every millionaire, every world changer, every person who ever left a mark, they all had to protect their environment before they could protect their wealth. They understood the law of the inner circle, and it's simple. You become the emotional average of the people you give the most time to. Think about that. If you're always around complainers, guess what? You'll start complaining. If you're around people who say that'll never work, you'll stop believing it will. If you're around people who envy success, you'll start sabotaging your own. But if you get around visionaries, builders, believers, if you get around people who hold you to a higher standard, not because they think they're better than you, but because they see you, that's when your life will change. It doesn't take much. You don't need 100 people. You don't even need 10. You just need to decide. Decide that you will no longer be the most ambitious person in your circle. Decide that you will no longer spend time with people who don't respect time. Decide that your destiny is more important than someone's feelings about your growth. You were not born to live a life that fits into someone else's comfort zone. You were born to rise, and that rising may require separation. Now listen. Separation doesn't mean bitterness. It means clarity. It means you stop shrinking to keep the peace with people who aren't at war with average. When I was just starting out, there were people I loved who didn't understand me. They laughed when I said I'd be successful. They doubted when I told them I was going to build a life of wealth and freedom. And for a while, I tried to prove myself to them. I worked hard so I could say, "See? Look what I've done." But one day, I realized something that changed my life. I don't need to prove them wrong. I need to prove myself right. And to do that, I had to let go of the noise, let go of their limits, let go of needing their permission. Some of you are still trying to take people with you who don't want to grow. You're dragging dead weight up the mountain. And you're tired. Not because you're weak, but because you're pulling people who were never meant to go where you're going. Let them go. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It means you finally love yourself enough to walk in alignment with your assignment. Listen closely. Millionaires don't build alone, but they begin alone. They begin in silence. They begin in rejection. They begin in isolation that feels like punishment, but it's actually preparation. You're not being left out. You're being called up. The question is, will you answer the call? Because if you do, everything changes. Your thoughts get sharper, your habits get tighter, your goals get louder, and the people who once doubted you, they fall silent under the weight of your results. But it starts with the decision to create a new circle, even if that circle is just you and your vision for now. Build it brick by brick. Read the books no one around you is reading. Watch the content that stretches your mind. Say no to gossip and yes to growth. Stop explaining yourself and start becoming yourself. And when you do meet people who think like you, who are walking the same path, you'll know them by their hunger. You'll feel it in their words. You'll recognize it in their eyes. These people are rare, but when you find them, you found your new inner circle. People say success is lonely. I say average is crowded, and I'd rather walk alone in purpose than be surrounded in confusion. So here's what I want you to take away today. If you're tired, check your circle. If you're distracted, check your circle. If you're doubting yourself, check your circle. Because sometimes the breakthrough you need isn't more motivation. It's less noise. It's less draining conversations. It's less explaining your dream to people committed to misunderstanding it. You want to be wealthy? Don't just change your strategy, change your surroundings. And remember, you are not selfish for choosing growth. You are responsible for choosing it. Because when you grow, everyone connected to you rises, even the ones who didn't believe in you at first. So start today. Audit your circle, elevate your standards, and build an environment where success isn't just accepted, it's expected. Your future depends on it, and on Let me say something to you that most people will never say out loud. No one is coming to save you. And before you let that discourage you, let it free you. Because if no one is coming, that means it's you. You are the solution. You are the answer. You are the one you've been waiting for. I used to believe that someone would see me. Someone would take a chance on me. That one day I'd be discovered, picked, rescued. But the truth is, no one saves the self-made. They build themselves. They save themselves. And they do it one decision at a time. That's what every millionaire understands. That ownership is the price of freedom. You see, when you finally stop blaming, you start building. When you stop waiting, you start working. And when you stop hoping for a lifeboat, you learn how to swim toward the shore. Let me tell you something I've learned watching the rise of every great man and woman. They didn't make excuses. They made moves. They didn't cry about the hand they were dealt. They learned how to play it with excellence and strategy. They didn't complain about what they didn't have. They multiplied what they did and turned it into something remarkable. And if they can do it, you can too. But you won't get there by hoping. You get there by deciding. Decide that you will no longer be at the mercy of the world. Decide that your energy is too valuable to be wasted on blame. Decide that the life you want is possible and that it starts right here, right now, with you. Because the second you take full responsibility, you unlock full power. And full power, that's what separates millionaires from spectators. Most people think they need a better job, a better break, a better background. But the truth is, what they really need is a better mindset. You are not broke because of your job. You're broke because of the way you think about money. You are not stuck because of your city. You're stuck because you haven't taken ownership of your time. You are not confused because life is hard. You're confused because you haven't gotten still enough to listen to your inner voice. Let me be that voice for you right now. You are powerful, but your power is tied to your choices, not your circumstances. And the people who win in life, they understand this. They stop outsourcing their destiny. They stop blaming their parents, their past, the system, the algorithm. They stop saying, if only, and they start saying, even if. Even if they don't support me, I'll win. Even if it takes longer than I thought, I'll finish. Even if no one claps, I'll still show up. Because they know that life doesn't reward the victim. It rewards the responsible. Now hear me. Responsibility is not guilt. It's not shame. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about saying, if my life is going to change, I have to be the one to change it. That is power. That is freedom. That is where transformation begins. And once you taste that kind of ownership, you will never give it up again. Because now, every day is a new chance. Every morning is another opportunity. Every setback becomes a setup. Every mistake becomes a lesson. And that's the difference between the rich and the poor, not just in money, but in mindset. Poor thinkers wait to be saved. Wealthy minds build the future. And you're here because something inside you refuses to settle. You hear the call. You feel the urgency. And that urgency is not anxiety. It's awakening. You are waking up to your power. You are waking up to your potential. You are waking up to the truth. You were never meant to be average. You were never meant to beg for opportunity. You were born to create it. So if you've been waiting, stop. The rescue mission is over. You've arrived. And now it's your time to rewrite your story. Take back your time. Get clear on your vision. Build discipline like your life depends on it, because it does. And above all, never forget, no one is coming. But that's okay, because you don't need saving. You need strategy. You need action. You need belief. You need momentum. And once you move, once you commit, once you own your life with both hands, there will be no stopping you. So take this as your wake-up call. Not from the world, but from within you. It's time. You are not waiting on life. Life is waiting on you. Go get it.